And we are on. What's up, everybody? Welcome to pregame. This is the 100 proof drinking equivalent of shotgunning beers on the back of a pickup truck before a football game.
Going on, everybody?
Mm.
Happy Monday. That's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad Monday. Are you working? Or you have this week off?
No, I'm working.
Yeah.
Same as last week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, half day, Thursday, hopefully.
It feels weird, like working the week after Christmas. I feel like it's got to be the Christmas week plus the week after for it to make any fucking sense.
Yeah, fair.
I don't know. It's just I know that almost every single one of my jobs, well, my liquor jobs would give me the 2 weeks off because there's no business to be done this week.
Right.
And there was no business to be done the week before, but it's one of those things where you just like find time to wonder what like anybody is getting accomplished this week.
Yeah. We're getting a lot accomplished, but
Yeah, I know.
different animal.
So before Tom jumps in, I probably should send him a message at some point, but like, what is the thought process with everything going to like on demand with COVID and all that stuff now? Like, I'm going to use like Wonder Woman 1984 as the example. I don't understand. Like the problem that they're having is that these movies aren't making enough money.
Right.
I mean, if it goes to a big theater, I mean, like if you look at Infinity War, I mean, it's like in the billions, and like they're barely scratching like 100 mil when these things are costing like 200 mil to make.
Yeah.
I just don't see movie theaters coming back.
I mean, I'm hopeful once all this stuff gets figured out, vaccines and stuff, and people smarten up and finally take them. That's just my opinion, but I think it's right. People finally take their vaccines and like, we can go out in public again. I'm trying to figure out if I should buy stock in like AMC and like Hoyts, or if the Hoyts is still a thing, but like the movie theaters while they're like at nothing.
Well, they were just saying this. Well, here's two thought process, and I'll give you another example that I saw in the paper this morning.
Okay.
If you put $10,000 in Zoom at the beginning of the pandemic, you would now have $50,000 today.
Yeah.
Because it was a necessity that became a long-term thing. Like a lot of these companies are giving up their corporate offices because it's cheaper and it's just as productive to have your staff doing this.
Right. Yeah, I know. We maintain a ton of like business offices in Boston, and they're all still empty. We're going in with some of them, and we're doing maintenances to make sure the equipment's running properly, and they're not going to burst pipes while nobody's in the building.
Yeah.
But aside from that, not much going on with that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the end result of the movie theaters is it can go one or two ways. You're right. It could be that we all get the vaccine and that like it goes back to normal and things shoot through the roof and like everybody goes to the theater because they miss it and like
Yep.
that experience is something that everybody wants. And like I get it. Like I want that awful popcorn and the 50-gallon soda and like it's funny. Like I feel like every time I leave a movie theater, I feel like I'm in a diabetic coma. But like I miss it. Like I get it. I legitimately miss that. And
Yeah.
The other side of that is that people have become so accustomed to getting stuff at their home. What's up, Charlie Eon? Yeah, I just don't know if it comes back because like I've been saying for years that if I could watch like new movies that are coming out in the theater, pay a little extra and watch them at the house, that's what I would be doing. And like that's the part where I don't know, man. I think that like maybe they just scale back the budgets on these movies and just start releasing them that way.
Yes. I mean, that would suck scaling back the budgets on some of these movies, especially. I mean, you and I both like into the Marvel movies,
Yeah,
big budget movies that they really pay off. I
but
mean, right now they're not paying off for the.
I think that Favreau touched on the fact with The Mandalorian that like you can build movies on a budget that are just as good, if not better. Because I would say that Favreau's Mandalorian was better than all the new Star Wars movies combined, and they were 5 times as much in budget.
I'd agree with that.
So like maybe it's not the budget that's the problem. Maybe it's the way that they're using it.
Right.
I mean, like I've heard a lot of people complain. I guess I throw out the spoiler warning. I mean, we talked about it last week, but like when Luke showed up, Luke took a lot of shit for the way he looked, and I don't think that that was really that big of a deal to me. Like I was so happy I didn't give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, I think we touched on it last week too, but like Luke, seeing his face was a last minute decision by Favreau. Like he was supposed to be a cloaked Jedi. You weren't supposed to know who he was. His face was supposed to remain in the shadows, and the big surprise was going to be at the beginning of Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah.
But Favreau, for whatever reason, changed his mind. He's like, "No, I want Luke now," and they last minute had CGI'd.
Well, they ended up. It wasn't even CGI. They deep faked it.
Did they?
Yeah. Like you can tell the difference between the CGI and the deep fakes, at least in the Star Wars universe, because they did a CGI fake for not Admiral Akbar, Admiral. He, it was in the one that you and me both love, Tarkin. Yes, thank you, Charlie. Yeah, Tarkin was a CGI.
Okay.
And you can just you visually look at Tarkin and look at Luke, and you can see where there's just no similarities. Like
Yeah, fair.
Tarkin looks fake in the sense that like the shadows are all fucked up.
Okay.
And when you look at Luke, it's not the shadows. It looks like his face is moving around his face. Like it, for some reason, deep fakes always fuck the eyes up.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that it's a really good recreation of the person, but like it's always with the eyes. Like AI cannot figure out how to do eyes correctly.
So it was. I know we talked about it last week, and I couldn't remember who the actor was, but they're in talks about having Sebastian Stan actually play Luke moving forward.
I think that's what the fans want, and like that's the difference between Kathleen Kennedy and Favreau is just that like Favreau's like I honestly think he sits in these chat rooms and he listens to us complain about shit, and he's like, oh yeah, let's do that. Where like Kathleen Kennedy's like, no, it needs to be this whole universe and it needs to all connect, and like she tried to do what George did without having any fucking idea how George did it.
Yeah, fair.
And like I don't even think George knew how he did it, because when he tried to do
Favreau knows how George did it because that's what he's going with.
Exactly. He was a super fan. It's fan service. That's the difference. Like Marvel is fan service. Like every time that we don't expect something, they give us something that we've always wanted and we've never had. Like I have never been so fucking happy when we're in Black Panther and they're flying into Wakanda. Like that amount of joy. Like the fact that I'm looking over at the kid that's sitting next to me who's African American, and he's so happy to see this representation of his culture in a Marvel movie, and he's just ready to like he stood up and he's screaming and everybody's losing their minds, and like that joy was what we got with Luke pulling back the cloak. And I think that like that fan service is what saved like what keeps Marvel alive. Like I wouldn't have watched all of those Marvel movies if there wasn't that much fan service.
Fair.
I mean, I can't say that there was any fan service in the last like 3. What do they call those? They're not calling them prequel or postquels or
the sequels.
There's sequels.
Sequel
Yeah,
trilogy. Yeah.
yeah, the sequel trilogy. There was just no fan service. Like, we got Han, and then Ben kills Han. You're like, well, that's great.
Yeah.
And like,
Thanks for bringing back my favorite character and then just killing him.
yeah, and then we get Chewie back, but like that whole thing was crazy because it's like they go to arrest Chewie. He's in the plane. It explodes, but he's alive miraculously.
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. I mean, the only fan service I can remember off the top of my head was the chessboard, the Chewbacca's chessboard thing.
Yeah, but it was so indirect. I mean,
Yeah, it was minuscule. It was nothing. I'm just off the top of my head. It's really the only honest thing I can think of. Like,
it's funny because I think that like this is what they should use as a gauge on any of these movies. They should pay
live chat.
well, yeah. They should pay Kevin Smith to rewatch it, and if he starts crying, then they know that they've done a good job. Like that's how you should just gauge everything. Because like
Kevin Smith tears.
Yeah, well, he had just watched
Give me your tears, Kevin Smith. I shall take them.
he watched the end of Mando and he was bawling, just bawling. He YouTubed it, and there was a bunch of people that were giving him shit. They were like, "I'm not gonna follow you anymore." Like his 50 million followers really give two shits about like some guy that's not gonna follow him anymore.
What movie was he talking about?
Mando. He watched the end of Mando, and he was bawling. I did the same thing. Like I didn't do it in front of teens. I had to rewatch it by myself.
Yeah.
But like it was so emotional to me because it was just like.
Yeah, dude, I was tearing up. We talked about that last week too. I was tearing up when that happened because that's not what I was expecting.
I don't
Everybody
think
on the internet was trying to spoil it.
Yeah.
Or be, anti-spoil it, I guess. And then when that happened, I was like, oh my God. Like welling up. You know what I mean?
I don't think that I was actually that upset about Luke. I think I was more upset about Mando giving up the baby.
Yeah.
Like that part of it like really like tore me up. Yeah, here, let me find out where Tom is. It's been a minute. Be like, yo, dude, where are you? Outside of that, what else? What are you watching right now?
I don't want to tell.
No, now you have to tell.
I've been binging some Doctor Who.
That's not bad. Are you you're watching new Doctor Who?
Yeah, I've watched new Doctor Who from Chris Eccleston, past Matt Smith, just into Peter Capaldi like 4 times, and just this time now I'm almost through Capaldi into the new female Doctor.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to binge it because the New Year's episode, the holiday episode, comes out New Year's Day.
Okay,
and I want to watch it live.
Charlie, you were asking about the Darksaber. I think my personal thought is that season 3 is going to be them taking back the Mandalorian homeworld, and I think that reluctantly he's going to be the leader. I think that's the only thing that they can do with the Darksaber. Like I don't think it makes sense for her to fight him for it. I think that she realizes that he's the person that was supposed to have it in the first place.
And then they just squat up and...
Yeah. I think that them taking back the Mandalorian homeworld would be a perfect way to do season 3.
Yeah.
Letterkenny is another thing that's interesting. Everybody's talking about this. I've never watched Letterkenny. Have you seen it?
Neither have I.
Yeah,
Guilty.
I know that it's good. I think that wasn't the girl from Portlandia. I think she was on Letterkenny. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
I never watched that either.
You never watched Portlandia?
Nope.
Oh, Jesus, dude. That is such a good show.
Here comes the Chris Bliss doesn't watch comedy talk again.
So the Trailer Park Boys, I watched some episodes.
Yeah.
But I never really got into it.
Me too. And that's kind of where I got cut off with that kind of television show. I tried to watch it because like Dave talks about it all the time. Like all those kids talk about it. And like I watched a couple and I was like, all right, cool.
I grew up Trailer Park Boys, so for me it wasn't as funny. It was just a sad reminder of growing up poor in Colorado. like the very first house we had was a trailer park house.
Yeah.
And like our next door neighbor was a meth dealer. It was ridiculous. So
I mean, I'm sure I'll get around to Letterkenny at some point. Because they're in like their 8th or 9th season now. I was like, I thought this just came out last year.
yeah. What was it? I feel like I've watched something recently that I wanted to actually talk to you about. I forgot about it. Ninth season. Oh Jesus! It's on its ninth season.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's who's playing the Wednesday after Zach. Charlie's playing. The guy in the chat room's playing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm sure we're gonna get some good stuff. He's old school rave like us.
Fantastic.
Yeah, his story is unbelievable. This guy like has been everywhere. Like he was listing off. I wouldn't give it any justification by like listing places, but he has a huge tour resume of places that he's lived, and he ended up falling into this via early drum and bass CD, and then like it just bit him the same way it did all of us.
That's how it happens, man.
What was it like?
A drum and bass just gets you.
Oh, it just so. What was your first drum and bass CD? Do you remember what your first one was?
My first one,
Yeah.
it was either like Odie Live, Concrete Jungle, Ronnie Size, Represent.
I think mine was Represent too. I think that was the first one. Dude, when it gets to Brown Paper Bag, that track is so. Even now, like I've gone back and I was like, maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was.
No, it's still that great.
It's still that good. And like
Reed Speed, Resonance, dude. Sucker Punch. Oh my god.
Yeah. I think that so it went.
And then Aphrodite, AK-1200, you know, all the classics.
Well, I didn't really get into Afro until Ian got me into Afro.
Oh, really?
But like I did that Ronnie Size album was definitely one of my first. I bought that while I was still in Colorado.
Yeah.
And then what did I buy after? Well, the second album I bought was Happy to Be Hardcore 1. And it was weird because like I got a copy of it that was the original. It was the normal CD with all the smiley faces, but it was in a green case. It was like a bright neon green case. Like, you know how all the cases back in the day were like clear and you could see through them?
Yeah, crystal cases.
Instead of it being like a crystal, well, the crystal case itself was like neon green.
And what album was that?
Happy to Be Hardcore, Anabolic Frolic, the first one. So like that cemented me. I think it was the same thing too, Charlie. I think Prodigy definitely, The Fat of the Land was the second.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it was weird because like when you're first getting into electronic music, especially like during that time period, the fact that like you listen to Ronnie Size, and you're like, oh, I really like this. I like the beat. This is awesome. And I remember that I kept going back to the record store and I was like, I want more of this. And then like the idiot kid behind the counter would give me something that would be completely different than that. He'd just be like, oh yeah, you go to the electronics section. And then like it would be like
Enya.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be Enya, but it would be like you know, I'm just trying to think like Future Sounds of London, or it would be like, you know, Timo Moss or like Judge Jules, like that kind of stuff. And like somehow like that kid equated that I liked Ronnie Size with giving me like a Timo Moss album, and I was like, I'll listen to it, and I listened to it, and I was like, well, this doesn't sound the same, but like whatever, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then somebody hands me The Fat of the Land, and like it wasn't Ronnie Size, but like I was like, oh, this shit's amazing. And like by the time you get to Firestarter, like, and then like the videos only cemented it and made it worse. Like if you fell in love with that music and then you saw those 90s music videos, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, see, I ended up doing it the other way around because I got into industrial and stuff first. I was in, you know, the top 40 industrial, Nine Inch Nails, Skinny Puppy, you know, Manson, stuff like that.
Front Two,
and that all kind of led me into Prodigy and all that stuff. And then from there, I ended up just building, you know, my love for electronic music, and ended up finding the Providence like nightclub scene, which was okay. It was mostly college scene, but that ended up landed me at what was it called? Volumes Weekly, Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
Energy. Then I get to see, you know, Venom, Dirty Old Frank, talk to those cats for a while. Ended up at In Your Ear on Thayer Street in Providence.
God,
And
that
they
place
had,
was good.
the place was amazing. And Frank was right across the street at the skate shop,
Yeah.
right across the hall at the skate shop. So I talked to him for a little while. Pop over, I'd, you know, pick up some, because there was nothing like that. We had a Strawberries in Milford, dude. We had nothing like that. So I find this record store and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, they have this plethora of music. Instead of my tiny little industrial section, I have half a store. Like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. So that's really how I ended up in it.
Yeah, I don't think that the jump from industrial to electronic has ever been that. It's not that far. It's a pretty
Yeah,
easy
Orbital,
jump.
exactly. Aphex Twin.
Yeah, that weird album with him and the boobs, where it's
Yeah,
like
Chemical Brothers. Oh my God, yes, that video is amazing. But yeah, Chemical Brothers, all that stuff. It all crosses over.
See, it was interesting for me because my love of Aphex Twin was easily the reason that I started spinning breakcore, and I have never had anybody so offended by me playing music in my entire life. Like it's almost comical. I almost enjoy the fact that like I get like one or two people that come and watch my sets now, because the fact that like back then like people were so inherently offended by me playing breakcore. It's like, sorry guys. Oh,
But then we had who was that girl that I think Garrett was living with her for a while, and she was doing the goth nights in Worcester.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And they do like they do Bauhaus and stuff like that. It wasn't terrible.
No, I mean, but they were the Smiths kind of goth kids. Like
Yeah.
you know, like they wanted to listen to that stuff. They didn't want to hear what I was like. If I started playing breakcore there, they would have been like, oh, but now if you go to like any industrial goth night, that's what they're playing. They're playing fucking breakcore.
Yep. Exactly.
Like, God damn it, I was 10 years late. I could have been playing at some goth club.
You were a man ahead of your time, Curtis.
I'd like to believe that that's the case, but it's not.
I'm just gonna keep telling you that.
Yeah, thank you. That's so
Yeah,
nice of you. So, I've got my set tonight, and I've got the vapor breaks.
Vapor breaks.
Vapor breaks.
Vapor breaks.
And then I've got the acid trance on New Year's. And then I have.
Are you streaming that off 100 proof and they're just going to screen cap to theirs?
Yeah, and then I'll save the video and just put it up the next day.
Is it gonna play at 100 proof though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have the morning hangover. G is gonna play drum and bass.
Yeah, G-Force.
But so
I'm excited for that.
What's your next set? Do you have an idea of when you're playing next?
Me?
Yeah.
Friday after New Year's, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, for the big party. Yeah.
That's my next set.
You think you'll be ready to be able to pull all that music down and figure it out by then?
It's in the process of downloading right as we speak.
Did it pull it as one big zip file?
Yeah, it did.
Oh,
and it's done. It was only 13 gigs. I still have 300 gigs free. I thought I had way less.
You're like, I'm not sure she's gonna take it, Captain.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I have 30 gigs and this is 13 gigs. It's gonna crash everything. And I looked, I was like, oh no, I have 300. I'm good. Fine.
So I've got to give you pre-warning with that. And I don't exactly know why this is. So before getting on Beatport Link, I started doing Bandcamp, and I was buying people's entire catalogs.
I saw that, like, one of the folders I opened, it's all the first half of it's all the same artist.
So it's going to be like that for everything. But the byproduct of it is that, like, I would hear one track, and I'd be like, oh, that track is fire.
Gotta buy the album.
I would buy their entire discography, not realizing that, like, sometimes people decide to go in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's some tracks in there that are not new rave. They're, like, drum and bass. And then, like, there's some tracks in there that, like, are, you know, ambient. They just, they make no sense. So it would be beneficial for you to find the BPM that you're going to play at.
Yeah.
Potentially go through every track that you like just you're gonna hate this, but I did the same thing for my set. Go through every track and then pick the ones you like.
Yeah, I
Because
mean, I've
like,
got 2 weeks to do it, so
yeah, if you end up just like winging it, you're gonna end up like dropping a track and being like, what? What? There's no drop? Like, what is this?
yeah. No, I started at least like because before I was listening to the entirety of most songs. I was just like, because I was when I'm doing drum and bass, I get into it.
Yeah.
But like with the other stuff, I filter through. I listen to I like the fact that I can see the song.
Yeah, the
So I'm like, all right,
waveform. Yeah.
yeah, I'm in the waveform, and I'm like, all right, here's my build up, here's my drop. You know what I mean? So I'll skip the different parts of the song. I'll be like, automatically, I'll just throw something in the trash if I don't like the way it sounds.
You know what's interesting? Because I feel like you and me are both very visual people, and we've been very
100%, dude.
we've been very like conditioned and almost like nurtured with by using Serato. I am.
I agree.
I'm nervous about if when we ever go back to like in the real,
Yep.
if somebody is like, "Yo, hey, we'd love to have you play," blah blah blah, and when we go back to play, like I don't know how I'm gonna feel about playing tracks without being able to see the waveform. Like I know that.
I'm gonna walk up with my laptop and my controller.
Well, that's what. Well, that's the thing is that like a lot of places you can just plug in the laptop, but like you have a laptop, I don't. Like
Right.
I'm gonna end up having to drop stuff into like two USB sticks and plugging them in, like it.
And that's what everybody does, really. I mean, they just carry around a pocket full of USBs. You know what's on it. You know what I mean? You make a set, put it on a USB,
Yeah.
or make a,
So
give
here's
yourself
here's the issue.
build a crate, really.
I like being able to see the waveforms layered over top of each other because it
Oh,
makes
yeah.
it simple for me to like put the little stalagmites together.
Oh, yeah.
But in a lot of setups, like if you have two Pioneer CDJs, it shows the waveforms, but it doesn't show the other waveform from the other deck, like cycling with it, which is
Yep.
the part that like I don't know how I would like. I know that I can make it work, and I know that if somebody was like paying me to do it, I would like make it work. Like I get beat matching. I understand the concept of putting two things together. It just for me the concept of having both waveforms in separate screens,
Right. Here
like
and then here.
yeah, like that weirds me out. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how I would feel about that. It's weird. I don't know.
No, I get it. 100%. I get it because we both learned on the same thing.
I mean,
It's like,
it's
I love seeing it stacked.
yeah. I mean, I started on vinyl, so it's for me, it's a little more comical in the sense that like I remember when there was no waveforms and it was just like you know how this works, and like
Yeah.
that's how things work, and like like you would know based upon like music and like measures and phrasing that like things would happen at these certain points and like
Mhm.
I just remember being in my basement being like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 and like it was so frustrating because like I just couldn't visualize what I needed to.
Right.
But with 3 weeks of having this stupid controller in Serato, it just made sense. It was just like poof, oh, that's how you beat match. That's how this whole thing works. I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody
Me
could
too.
somebody could have
Like
told me this like 20 years ago. I would have been
Right.
fine.
Like I said, it was all German to me, dude. I had no idea what I was doing.
Mm.
And now I can see it and I'm like, that makes so much more sense.
Oh shit, that's the jam. Coconut mango. Oh,
That's your hard coconut.
yeah. I could
I always
drink
thought the hard part of the coconut was the outside.
Ba-dum-bum. Yeah, so I think that that's the most interesting part of that is that like going back to in the real, like how that whole thing plays out, and like I don't know how that's going to affect me because like I have spent so long behind this screen with like a barrier of nothing. Like I don't
Yeah.
even think about the people. Like if somebody pops into the room, like they're there, but it doesn't affect me. I wonder if the jitters that I get pre-show are going to be amplified, knowing that there's
Right.
real people there.
There's actual people there.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess
We'll
that's
find out one day.
That's a long way down the road problem.
Yeah.
That's for future Curtis problems.
Yeah. That's tomorrow's problem.
Hey, you never told me what did you end up getting for Christmas? Like, what did you get?
What did I get? I got a new record player.
Because the old one was getting used all the time.
No, I actually used it quite a bit, and then the motor started going. And instead of trying to get a motor for it, I just asked for a new one.
Yeah.
Because I get a bunch of Wu-Tang and stuff on vinyl I like to listen to. I got a bunch of like Rolling Stones on vinyl I like to listen to. Actually got a really cool print of Jizz's Liquid Swords, but it's a Marvel variant, and it's like sea glass, like the sea glass vinyl, and it's just super cool looking. So I had to own it.
Yeah.
But I want to listen to it. I want to listen to Liquid Swords on vinyl. I got a what's the 7L Esoteric with what's his face from Wu-Tang? Czarface. I got a Czarface comic book that came with a 7-inch. I don't even know what it sounds like because my record player was off.
Yeah.
I got like Rancid white labels and stuff that, I just like listening to every now and then.
Huh.
So, I had the old Victrola, and the motor started going. It's belt driven, so I was like, oh, it was just going too fast.
Yeah.
So I opened it up, see if the belt was riding up on the ridge, but it wasn't. Still, belt's perfectly placed. So the motor's just
it's giving out.
It's getting a little too much voltage or whatever.
Yeah.
So let me
know when you get your shit. Well, you have your shit now. When you come up next time, remind me because I have a shit ton of California surf rock records upstairs that I've just never done anything with. So
yeah, dude,
I'll just give those to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even remember what the fuck they came out of. I think I was like signed up to a magazine, and like, every week they would send you like a 7-inch.
It's like out of BMG.
Yeah, it was weird though because it wasn't.
House.
Yeah, it was like a weird punk rock magazine, and like that's where they came out of. But the
old zines.
Yeah. Oh yeah. God, that's another thing that I get that kids now like are on Facebook and TikTok and stuff like that, but there's just something about like
nobody creating anything tangible to like hand out.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that, and it's a little bit of like that whole coffee shop scene where like you would go there and there would always be something cool going on, and like
open night mics Wednesday at the Grind in Franklin, dude. That's where we lived.
Yeah. It just
growing up,
seem like that.
Me and Dave used to pop down there in high school and stuff. They'd have like beatnik poetry, or they'd have like a dude with acoustic guitar.
Well, maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Maybe that's not. It's such an old fogey way to think about it. I mean, isn't that what Twitch is?
I guess, but I mean, I think what got you on the topic was like the zines, like people creating something tangible, like in their basement, to kind of like encapsulate the scene. And what are we doing? We doing calisthenics now?
No, I'm just saying that's what this is.
Yeah, fair, I guess.
Making something tangible in their basement.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Yeah, I love when you say those words. It doesn't happen very often. It's like when Tina says it. I'm like, hold on, I just need to take this in all of a sudden.
But I mean, you can't. Yeah, never mind. I'm gonna shut my mouth on it. They're not gonna send you weekly 7-inch albums by listening to Twitch.
You never know. They do that on Bandcamp.
Twitch, are you listening?
No, if you like go in on a pre-order, like okay, so let's say we were musicians. Okay, 100 Proof was now a music label.
Okay.
And we produced a track. You can send that track to Bandcamp, and then you can set up a pre-order where everybody buys the cost of the vinyl, and that pays for the pressing of the vinyl. And when you hit your goal, then the vinyl goes out to get pressed, and everybody gets their vinyl. And
okay. Alkabar was talking about that, but he didn't get in depth on it, and I didn't fully understand what he was talking about. That makes more sense.
It's so smart because it's like crowd sharing the vinyl. So like back in the day, the way it worked is just that like you would put up the 10 grand for the vinyl, and like you'd have to pay for the dub plate.
Yeah.
And like
Or like punk rock bands used to do, they'd split it. They do the 5 apiece and do a split 7-inch.
Yeah. So like you are still putting up a shit ton of money for this, and then then it shows up. You have boxes and boxes of this vinyl, and then it's your job to like, sell it out of the back of the truck to make your money back.
Yeah, that's the other thing I have. I have a couple old like Dropkick Murphys and the Business 7-inch splits.
Yeah.
That they're just fun to have.
So the way I like that the Bandcamp put this together is that because it's crowdsourced, the sales are already done. The record only gets printed if everybody buys into it, and then you as the artist take home the money, the leftover money after it hits gold.
Right.
Which is so fucking smart. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like if somebody had come out with that idea, like crowd surfing this like 5 years ago or 10 years ago when like vinyl actually made sense, they would have made so much fucking money.
Well, it's just like the t-shirts, dude. Like you're doing with TeePublic right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like to order custom t-shirts, like even just a couple years ago, you have to buy like 250 of them.
Yeah.
And you have to purchase them. They print them, you have to store them, and then you have to sell them.
Yeah.
Where now, T-Fury, you go and design, we're not stocking anything. You know what I mean?
The other thing I think that makes the TeePublic thing, I know that the ratios are awful, and like everybody complains about how much money TeePublic makes off of us and how little money we make off of them.
When every one of their flyers is like, you just fed a starving artist.
Well, yeah, but the backside of it is that what did we do?
Right.
Like,
you just made a design.
I made a design and I just walked away with money. Like you can't complain about that.
No, you can't.
Because like I literally could stop making designs tomorrow and those shirts would still keep making money. Like the Blockbuster breakbeat hardcore shirt.
Yep.
For some reason, I sell one of those like every 2 months out of nowhere.
I gotta actually still get one of those. I love that shirt and I've never bought one.
Yeah, it's random. It just pops up and like I'll see that there's a sale on it and I'll be like, huh. But like I didn't do anything. I just built
I ordered one of the Boston shirt. I thought I ordered one, but I haven't gotten it yet. I'll have to look back.
Well, I have 2 shirts on my desk, one for you and Garrett.
Okay.
I bought you for Christmas time. I got you the Japanese
one.
And then I got Garrett the House of Pain one.
Okay. I got this one. Just came in the other day. Where am I?
Oh, you got a Vaporwave.
I got a Vaporwave.
How does the chrome look on the shirt? Is it good?
It's good. I mean, I get the soft shirt, so the prints don't always look as great, but the shirts just fit me better. But I mean, I know it's dark right now, but
yeah, that logo is so.
Yeah, no, I mean it's tight.
Yeah,
it's a great logo. So I had to have it.
So we've played a lot of different styles. What styles have we not touched yet? I mean, I know that at some point I'm going to end up doing the acid trance with Garrett. Yep. So I haven't touched trance at all outside of that. Yeah. What other things have we not done? Like, I'm wondering if we should do an ambient set. Like one night, just you and me, just like 1 hour, just straight ambient, like old school Aphex Twin ambient.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it would be fun though.
Yeah, I know. We'd both have to be sitting down.
Indian style.
Yeah, exactly. Kumbaya.
I'm just trying to I'm trying to think of the styles that like I still want to like touch on and like learn about. I
do some craft work.
I've been contemplating. I just haven't done it yet. I need to do a UK garage set.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely going to happen at some point.
I'd like to do a UK garage set. I still need to do a grime set because that never actually happened.
Like, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you playing grime? You're like, I am playing grime.
I heard grime. I don't know. I don't care what you guys heard. I heard grime. I played myself a grime set that night. Everybody else listened to it.
The fact that your visuals were what was playing, I was like, man, he's really getting good at this.
Yeah, right.
Just like professional DJ in the background. And you're like, So amazing.
Oh man, it was terrible. But yeah, no, I mean, I'd love to play a Raga jungle set. I really want to start honing on my drum and bass skills.
I'm with you on that. I think that I need to like dig. I've been digging pretty hard.
Yeah.
And like the thing that you got to learn about with Beatport, and I think this is inherently like where I have the time to do it, but like it's going to be a lot of me just like subverting this knowledge down to you.
Oh yeah.
Is that like there's almost every single drum and bass producer is for some reason in Beatport, but they've lumped everything together and they haven't broken up the categories.
Right.
So what you end up getting is that like Raga, for instance, is like 50% in jungle, 50% in drum and bass, and like 75% in drum and bass. The other 25% is in jump up.
Yeah.
So like they've broken up all these categories for what is Raga jungle, and like what you have to do is you have to go searching based upon the labels. So like
Right.
what you and me need to get better at, and I think that like it's forcing me to do, is it like it forces you to learn what the labels are that make that specific type, and then searching those labels.
It's good to know, especially in this situation. I mean, it's the only way we're going to be able to do it the way that everything's set up right now. Because the drum and bass and jungle folders are just
They're so massive.
they're
Oh, yeah.
insurmountable. Dude.
And that's the problem is like even digging, you could go in there and you could listen for a year and still not finish like one key in that one specific folder. So like for instance, like what I did is I went to Google and I typed in Raga jungle labels.
Okay.
And then for some weird reason it gave me a list of all of the labels that specifically tailor to that. That's how I found that Born on the Road or Born on Road.
Born on Road, yeah.
Yeah. And like that's what's been happening is that like if I'm trying to do a specific style of something, I'm focusing on what the labels are that carried that, putting that into Beatport, and then looking because like the classifications of a lot of that stuff is completely wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that in my liquid. You know what I mean? In the liquid folders, it's like there's so much other stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's hard to build a liquid set.
Well, it was like that hardcore set that I did in the hard techno side, because you get Gabber in there, and like I'm like, what? Why is Gabber not its own specific area?
It should be.
Yeah, but there's like, from a producer's standpoint, because there isn't a Gabber area, it either goes into hardcore, or it goes into hard techno, but it doesn't really make sense in the hardcore section because hardcore is hard style, which is definitely not Gabber.
Right.
There is hard house, which is strangely enough like I would love, and I still might do this before 2021, is I need to download hard house tracks because Beatport just doesn't have them.
Oh, really?
It just doesn't exist. What's up, CJ?
Hello. I'm just gonna say I'm going to bed.
CJ's going to bed. Say goodnight.
Bye.
Night, buddy.
Love you. Sleep good. I will see you when I get home from work tomorrow.
Yeah, so they just don't have any hard house, but there's hard house, happy hardcore. What else is it? A terracore.
Yeah.
Something else is in there. French core. French core is in there, and something else. I can't remember. But like, if you're a Gabber guy, like none of those categories make sense for what you're doing. So you just dump it into hard techno, and then like hard techno just becomes the dumping area for anything that just doesn't fit in peak time.
Yeah, Charlie, they definitely do have jungle, liquid, and D&B separate, but the D&B section, and a lot of it's mislabeled, but the D&B section is just so massive. Like,
it's insurmountable.
It is.
It's walking into the biggest record store. Like Satellite New York was big, but it's like walking into 3 Satellite New Yorks and like trying to pick out 20 tracks that are going to work for your set that night. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the problem that I'm having isn't even the amount of tracks. It's the fact that I have to pull, if I'm going to play 20 tracks, I have to pull 40 tracks. And for some reason, I don't know if you get the same problem that I do. The beat grids are not always right on. Like some of
Yeah.
them are completely off.
Yeah, they are. I've actually had to play through a couple of those tracks, and again, I'm glad we can stack um, our music. Losing
Where
my
you
word.
can see the difference.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, this is not my measure. This is not the beginning of my measure. It obviously starts over here, a quarter measure ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
You can kind of work through it if it's a good enough track worth doing so. And I've had to do that a couple times, and it's just like I'll forget.
Yeah.
And then as I'm mixing back in, I'm like, oh yeah, it's that track, and I forget if it's a quarter ahead, quarter behind, because it's like halfway through my set, and I'm just mixing tracks.
Yeah.
But
I think that that's interesting. I think that the thing that's been getting me lately is I've been like searching for obscure styles, finding
Yep.
the labels that produce those obscure styles, and then like hunting down those records in Beatport. So like right now, one of my favorite styles from back in the day was jazz step, which was predominantly on Moving Shadows.
Okay.
And I would love to do another jazz step set, like find the tracks, do a jazz step set. But like I don't know the other labels that produce that style of music.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's a matter of like taking the time, going into Google, typing jazz step labels, pulling up all of the labels that do jazz step, and then like hunting those down in Beatport and finding like what's there and what's not there. Because like sometimes you'll hit a label that like might have been pre Beatport and it's just not there, and then sometimes you find stuff that's post Beatport and it's there, but it's only like 5 or 6 tracks, and you're like, meh.
I mean,
And
it's
then-
definitely the smart way to do it, though, is running through Google and be like, who makes these tracks? And then
Mhm.
hitting it with a Beatport and see if you can find like at least a vein.
Well, it's not even. I'm not even specifically looking for artists because I don't think artists.
No.
Yeah.
Producers or
Labels.
labels. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's the thing that I think is universal in electronic music is that a specific label always has a specific sound.
Yeah.
Like if you take Metalheads and you take Moving Shadows, those two labels have always uniquely sounded the same after 30 years, 30 years of producing
They're
tracks.
stuck to their individual guns.
Yeah, and I think that that's the part that like every label to a certain extent is always going to sound the same, where a producer can start off like Venetian snares and now he sounds like neurofunk.
Yeah, which I've run into. Yeah, no, you're right. Labels, not producers. I
Yeah.
misspoke. Yeah, because I've run into that a couple times. Like first track pops off from this one dude, and I'm like, yes, this is dope. And then the rest is just ambient stuff, and I'm like, there's no way I can mix any of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
Good on you for the one great track.
exactly. You know, it was funny. I was putting together that set for New Year's, and I'm going through all the acid tracks, and I'm putting everything together, and I'm liking all of them, how they sound, and everything's good. And then I had brought it up earlier, Future Sounds of London. Do you remember that track that was on the Moonshine compilation? It was like, it sounds like a Moby track. It has that like synth to it with the break.
Okay, no, not off the top of my head.
Yeah, so they it's in Beatport and it comes up in the acid section, and I'm like, I really like to play this track, but the problem, and I don't know if you've had this issue yet, is that if you take a very old track, like 90s-ish track, something that was like famous to us in the 90s, and you put that up against a brand new track, it sounds flat. Like
Yes.
it just doesn't have the ability to be able to like grab on to the new set. So like tonight's set, I was in the kitchen. Tina was listening to 80s music, and there's a band called Far From Rome or something like that, and the name of the song is called Promises. It's like a famous 80s song.
Okay.
But it is legitimately an electro breakbeat track. Like it has a breakbeat undertone, and I was like, I wonder if this is in Beatport. So I threw in Promises, and it pops right up.
Yep.
it was like 10 BPM slower than what I'm playing tonight. But like I was like, I'll move it up to chipmunk material. I'll make it work.
Yeah, I mean 10 BPM is not that bad.
No, so like I go to test the set, I throw the track in, it beat matches, everything sounds fine. The minute the new track cuts out and the old track starts up, it literally sounds like I just cut the bass off.
Yeah.
And
One
like-
of your speakers died.
I was just like, what? I was like, when I heard this track when I was younger, it sounded fantastic. What is wrong here?
I actually ran into that like my first drum and bass set that I played live. I was trying to build this perfect set and I wanted to be nostalgic. So I was building some newer stuff that I knew that was really good. And I was like, I'm going to go back to like 2002, 2003
Oh, thank you, Little Miss Gumball.
and grab some stuff and just bring it in and just sprinkle it throughout. You know what I mean? And it was the same thing. And I was just like, like this, the newer stuff, because of the way it was recorded, it's recorded for this purpose. It's like, it's full. It's all there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The older stuff, it's just, and it's still great music. I still listen to it when I'm not spinning. I love my old drum and bass.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
Just like to try to do a nostalgic track, you have to do like almost a completely nostalgic track, nostalgic set.
That's so weird. I didn't think it was going to be that noticeable jumping from an 80s track into modern, but you
Yeah.
can literally hear it just fucking cut out. So I think that it's one of those things where it bums me out because I would have loved to play that in tonight's set, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't make any sense. Well, homie, it's about that time.
Alright, I'm already out. Oh man.
Oh,
Oh, we
Well-
got 10 minutes.
we got 10 minutes. Yeah. I just wanted to well, here, we've got 10 minutes. Do you want to hear some of this on the road stuff?
Yeah. Is it gonna? Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't think it's going to screw anything up.
Let's talk about what we got coming up really quick.
Yeah, you do that real quick and I'll load up one of these tracks.
All right. So, well, we've got Man in the Bag tonight, obviously. You firing off at what, 10:30 to 11:30?
Yeah.
Then we're pretty much off this week. We've got G-Force doing a New Year's Day hangover set for you guys. What is that? Did she say 10 a.m. or is she doing 4 p.m.? I can't remember.
4 p.m.
It's 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
And then you're firing off again Friday night.
Yep.
And then we get back into our regularly scheduled programming.
Well, next week's
starting-
going to be insane. It's going to be fucking insane. Because
Well, we've got
I'm gonna probably take Monday. Oh, if next week plays out the way that it's supposed to, I played Monday.
let's talk on that. Let's talk about what you're doing next week. Why it's so crazy.
Okay, so we've got my Monday set, which I normally do,
Yeah, this set right here.
and
next
then
Monday.
Zach plays on Wednesday.
Yeah, we've got Zach Santa Barbara coming in playing some drum and bass and jungle for us on Wednesday, the 6th.
Thursday is a raid train with Man Likes Deeps.
Okay.
That kid is the funniest person I think I've ever met in my entire life. I don't know if you've seen his show. He does what he calls a jungle newscast,
Okay.
and like he may potentially be the funniest person that I've ever met in my life.
I'm gonna have to try it. That's Thursday night coming up. Oh, no, that's the following.
He like if you just go into Twitch and just type "Man Likes Deeps,"
Yep.
like DEEPS, it is
Yep.
breathtaking.
I've seen it. I think one of you guys put it into the group chat.
He just is so funny, and like he doesn't try to be, but his comedic timing is based on the fact that like when you're watching him, he's laughing at his own shit,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
which makes you laugh even harder.
Yep.
And like he's trying to be serious, but you can tell that it's like failing miserably around him all the time.
Okay.
And it's just the best.
That's
the
awesome.
best. So he's gonna do a raid train with us. So like I'm gonna
All right,
raid
That's New Year. That's September. September. Getting ahead of myself.
the
January 7th.
yeah. It's either the
Is that
6th
all
or-
day or is that starting at night?
It's at night. So like I think I go 9 to 10, and then I raid into G, and she'll be on her own Twitch.
On G-Force?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
she's gonna raid into Deep, and then Deep's gonna raid into Cake Baby.
Oh, cool.
So she'll finish out the raid. So she'll be lucky enough to get all of Deep's 50 or 60 viewers.
Yep. Cool.
That
All
young
right, so that's
girl,
Thursday night.
yeah. And then Friday is the Happy Hardcore Party.
That's right. Yeah.
I think I'm playing that at like. We really need to come to grips, and I don't know why, but I'm very I'm always like the nice guy that like lets everybody take all the good slots, and like I take whatever left over. But because I do that, I always end up getting like 1 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the morning, or I end up getting like 3 in the afternoon, and I'm like, oh Jesus, like I'm gonna play an hour set before I go to pick my son up from school. Like, so like for the Happy Hardcore Party, I think I'm playing 1 to 2 right after somebody. I might be Dag or something like that. But like I started like ripping out my Makina and ripping out my Happy Hardcore to like start putting it together, and I was like, there is no way that I play a full set at 1 o'clock in the morning of Happy Hardcore and my wife doesn't throw me out of the house. Like, it's not possible.
You want to just stay at my house that weekend?
It might not be a bad idea.
Might save your marriage.
So like I was like, well, if I play hardcore, breakbeat hardcore, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But like playing Makina at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I just did not see that going well.
I don't know, man. That
whatsoever.
Makina stuff is sexy, though. I love that stuff.
It's so good. Okay, so you ready to hear this stuff?
Yeah, let's play it.
Okay, let me play some for you. Let's see if this works.
We can go a couple minutes over. Nobody tells me what to do.
You're not in charge of me.
You don't know me. You ain't my boss.
Okay. Properties. Advanced properties.
And what label is this?
This is Born on Road.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else can hear it right now. We can't hear it because I don't have the monitor.
Oh, hold on. I can just turn up my phone.
No. I'm going to turn the monitor on right now.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Can you hear it now?
Nope.
I can hear it. That's not
Wearing your
helpful to you.
headphones.
Yeah.
You're wearing your headphones.
Yeah, use your phone, Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to use my phone. Yeah, I can hear it now.
What do you think?
I like it. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I like it. I mean, I'm listening to it on my phone, but
Yeah.
I like what I can hear. I have to look. I'll look into it.
Yeah, the whole label is ridiculous.
Yeah. We got to figure out how. I mean, we don't have to do it right now, but
What
how
was
we
quick?
can make that work so that I can
Like
get through my
we can
computer.
listen to music and we can all listen to it. It
Yeah.
may be diverting the music somehow into Zoom.
Okay.
I got to work on that.
Yeah.
Because like
I mean,
right now,
worst case, I turn on my desktop, which is, but I'm at my desk. My desktop is at my setup. You know what I mean?
no, because it causes an echo.
Right.
the best way for us to do it would be somehow diverting the music through Zoom, and I just got to figure that out. I haven't done it yet, but I know that there's got to be some way that like Zoom itself could play the music that's coming.
I feel like that's gonna degrade the sound so bad, though.
Honestly, the Zoom is better at music than like Twitch is. Well, I mean, Twitch jumped up to a higher bit rate, but like
Yeah.
Zoom can run at like 320.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it has settings in there to run at like high levels.
I didn't
So,
expect that. That's
yeah,
cool.
most people give shit to Zoom and it doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, I listened to you talk through, two decent speakers and a subwoofer, and then I'm listening to you play music through my telephone. It's kind of backwards.
Okay, homie. Well, thank
All
you
right,
for
brother.
another pre-chat. I always love having you around. You gonna stick around for a little bit of the show tonight, or are you done?
No, I'm not done. I'm gonna stick around and listen for a little while. So hurry up, get set up.
Okay.
All right.
Bye,
Thanks, guys.
everybody.
Tune in
Thank
to
you,
Audio
Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.